Assalamualaikum and a very good evening to everyone. Welcome to our first Architalk session for this semester's review. My name is Hanisa, and alongside with my friend Iman Hakim, we will be your MCs for tonight. Thank you to everyone who's here, from architects, lecturers, and fellow students. After an arduous, strenuous semester, we're so excited to see everyone, familiar faces and also new ones. Tonight we have a very special guest, our only female architect speaker, none other than architect Mardiana Soebarjo. Welcome, architect Mardiana. We are honored to have you here tonight.
Hi. Hello. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we,
You guys can hear me?
yeah, we can hear you clearly.
Good.
Yes.
Thank you.
So before we start our event, I would like to call upon Afif to recite the prayers.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بإيمانا ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا ربنا إنك رؤوف رحيم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Okay. Thank you, Afif. So before we start, a little introduction on our speaker today. So architect Mardiana is a graduate from ITM, or now known as UITM, with an advanced diploma in architecture equivalent to a bachelor's degree in architecture with honors, Lampart 1 in 1990, and then Lampart 2 in 1995. Being experienced with KICS projects, she is an expert in designing the airport and has gained valuable knowledge of the inner workings of the airport and its support facilities, workflow, and processes. She was involved in most of the airport projects here in Malaysia and also some overseas. Architect Mardiana is also a GBI facilitator with in-depth knowledge about sustainable designs, planning, and development. So today, Architect Mardiana will be talking about creativity beyond appearance. And without further ado, I'll pass the mic to Architect Mardiana.
Okay. Thank you, Wan Ainul. Okay. Good evening for everybody who joined on this talk. Okay. First of all, I would like to say thank you to the organizer for inviting me to become the external speaker for this event. Okay, I understand this event is the event for you all during the school holiday, right? Is it? Yeah. Before I start my lecture, I know already introduced myself. So I also want to allow me to introduce again myself and my journey to through my journey in architecture practice. Okay, yeah, I graduated from ITM at that time. Is Institute Teknologi Mara, because at the time it's 1990 and I graduate diploma at the time. Then after that, I further my study in advanced diploma in 1995. And I graduate and I work with the architect consultant company. So during my day, I just a normal graduate. You know, I don't have any specialty and I just the average architect at that time. And then at that time, we don't have the computer because nowadays the architecture is related with the computer production. Okay? At that time, it's manual. So at the time, the computer is just start actually. So, but we still do the manual thing when we do the thesis and when we do the design, we use the manual drawing. Okay, so at that time, not many architects actually graduate from the school because only I think for only 3 or 4 university, local university that actually produce the architect at that time. But then when I joined the company, I already compete with others. You know, where the time is around every year is about 100 or 200 graduate, architect graduate. So I have to compete and I have to looking for the job. And then when we interview, also the boss will compare between architect 1 and architect B. So actually I have to compete with others. And then but yet I get the company, I get the offer. But in that office itself, I also still have to compete with other architect, especially with the man architect. Okay, I'm not racist on this one. I just talking about my experience. Okay, and then my boss also said to me that actually a woman architect is still handicapped, because when we go to the site, the men still have to escort me to go to the site. But actually, if he appoint the boys to go to the site, they just simply order to go to the site. Then that's all at that time. It's actually totally different with the condition, the current condition. Okay, so after that, it's a bit hard for me to compete with the other colleague. So and then my boss advised me, if you want to compete with the men, the one way is you have to learn computer, because at that time computer just started being used in the office. So I took actually multimedia, okay, diploma in multimedia, just diploma, not degree, because my intention is I just want to know how to use the tools for to produce and to express my ideas. Okay, so I study the multimedia, then I study on the graphic editing, animation, all those things. So from there, then only I can compete, and then the boss also, I make myself reliable in the industry. Okay, so I'm still working with the consultant company, and then the company is have a project for the hospital. So I was involved with the hospital Serdang and Sungai Petani Hospital at that time. So when I involved in the hospital, then I work with the hospital specialist. Then only I realized actually you must have something to make you yourself reliable in the industry. If you're a normal architect, you just graduate. Yes, you still have to learn, but you compete with how many architects, how many graduate, you will compete. Okay, so how to make yourself and how to make the company to choose you to work with you and trust on you to put you in a team. Okay, so I realized that actually this specialist, he himself also an architect. This specialist is actually make himself jadi some sort like he's a specialist, so everybody will looking at him, and he is on demand at the time. So it made me think that actually I must have something that actually I can more reliable in the industry, because when times goes on, right? At that time the computer no more special anymore, because everybody at that time it's the technology growing, then everybody can learn the computer by himself, don't need, just like me, I have to go to the university again to study the multimedia, because at that time not many people know and understand how to do the animation, how to do the graphic editing, how to produce the drawing. So I have to go to the school, which actually nowadays you can learn from your friend, you can explore from the internet. So no need for you to have a paper, all those things. That one is considered as your additional skill. But then the technology always grow, So even though you terror in computer also, you it's okay. I mean, people that not okay, you can do the computer, then so what? Because it's not just something that you can sell, because the one now is already is a must that you have to be able to use the computer. So it made me think what else that I can put myself different from other architect. Okay, so alhamdulillah at that time Allah give me the opportunity. I got the offer from KLACS. Okay, KLACS is a project management company. Okay, project management consultancy (PMC). So they manage the project. They manage the project, and actually they are the airport specialists. Okay, because at the time when Malaysia doing the KLIA, airport. So they have a team. Okay, this team is actually is a pool for the expert on the airport. Okay, they have the knowledge on the airport. They have the knowledge how to run the project airport. All those things. They are specialists. And then also at that time, only I think KLIA who have the knowledge and who has the skill on running the airport project. And then because that time KLICS was a GLC, government linked company, so automatically when the government have a airport project, they will appoint, this one is under Ministry of Transport, so they will appoint the MOT, will appoint the KLIA to manage all the airport project in Malaysia. So we don't have to looking for the project, all those things. That project by itself, they come to our office. Okay, so and then we also have the track record overseas. So also some country also ask our knowledge and ask our skill to develop their airport. Okay,
Mardiana, sorry for
yeah,
interrupting. Are
sorry.
you presenting any slides?
Yeah, we have after this I will presenting
Okay.
some
So
slides.
not right now, right? Right now, you are not presenting any slide, right?
No, right now, yes, not yet.
Okay. All right.
So
Thank you.
I will let you know once I will presenting my slide.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, so at the time, so it makes me thinking that actually we have to do something to make yourself reliable in the industry. Okay, so me myself, my journey is I choose to be not the specialist, but I have the knowledge and I can do the special building, special project on the airport. So if you can see from this, it's actually because just like my topic is creativity, not only on the appearance in your career, in your journey. So the creativity also come from you to make how yourself become reliable and become valid in the industry. Okay, you have to think before you go outside to the normal practice. Okay, because in the school, of course, the lecturer will give you the project, then you have to do the design. But in reality, you must very creative to get the project, because even though you got the work, not necessarily you can do the design. Okay, so you have to find yourself how to make yourself can contribute something. Okay, so this is my way. So by having this knowledge, so I gain the experience, then and now I can share my experience and my knowledge so that you know how to make yourself, because before you create, before you're creative in producing something, but make yourself available first. Make people will choose you how to practice, how to express your creativity. So you have to make yourself people will notice that you are exist. Okay, so this is the first step that you have to do it. Okay, and then okay, the purpose of me for explaining the topic creativity beyond appearance is actually at the beginning I already told you, you make yourself available first to be creative. Okay, so that one is part of the creativity. It's not only on the design, but the creativity on yourself. Okay, and then this beyond this topic also, because I want to show you is actually my experience already more or less 26 years. So I want to share to you and how to execute the project. It's not only on the creativity in terms of producing the design that you can say people appreciate that your design is beautiful, is impressive, iconic. But this thing is very subjective. What I want to show you is actually something that very objective, and then to make sure that your creativity, which actually you for you, let's say your design is beautiful, your design is unique, to make sure that your design can be built. Okay, after that, then your design also can be used with the people, with the user. Not only the building itself, you can build, and then after that, that's all. People cannot use that building. or else even though your design very nice in the paper, but at the end of the day we cannot build your design. Okay, so now my lecture is about how your creativity, not only cantik, not only impressive, iconic building, but how your building become the something that can be built. Okay, you have to make sure your design can be built, and then after that building has been built, then also how the occupant can live inside the building, can use that building. That building can be functioned. Okay, so this is the step that I want to introduce you, that item yang you have to consider. Okay, so hopefully kan by having this talk, okay, at the end of the talk, I expect you have a knowledge on the how the project running, the life cycle of the project, on the design process, and how to execute the project and hand it over to the owner. And then the thing that you need to be considered for every process. Okay, it's just like the checklist actually. Okay, because if you don't have any experience, because me, I go through the experience, then only I learn. But then you also can make it as a checklist actually, because doesn't matter if you got the project, small project or big project, the process still the same. You know, you have to go through the process. Even though you design, you have to go through the design process. You cannot jump. Okay, so I hope you understand the step by step that you need to be considered. And then that not only that, and then the creativity, your creativity can be used not only designing the building, but you also can be creative in the capability to foresee the problem. What will happen during the design or during the construction or during the final design, what will happen. Okay, so you can foresee the problem, the issue, you can foresee. And also you also need to be very creative in solving that problem. Okay, so after for my explanation ni, I will share my presentation. So basically it's just the design, you cannot just shot sendiri lah. You know, in Malay Malay word is you cannot just shot sendiri, because your design and the beauty is very subjective. Kan? So but if you have the basic something yang objective, then people cannot then the two is will can be built and will reliable and can be sustained. All right. So, okay, I want to share my presentation. Okay, can you see the presentation? Oh, I think
Yes, you can.
Yes.
Okay, that one is a PowerPoint. Check. Dia punya, okay, can you see my presentation? Okay, my topic today is creativity beyond appearance, meaning that is not only the the beauty of the design, you know, the something iconic, but apart from that, So the objective of this one, then the student or you all can understand the life cycle of the project towards the sustainable design, meaning that even though your building can be built, but then how to make your building reliable, and then how to sustain your design, meaning that can be used for the client, can be used for the people who live there, who use that building. Okay. Okay, so actually it's about the creativity, how you manage your design, the buildability and the sustainability of the design with the value. Okay, so all these three words actually: buildability, sustainability, and then the value. Okay, that one is the most important thing in the design. Okay, and then you also make sure actually the process of the creativity should be start from the when you get the design brief, the design parameter of the project, the philosophy of the design, and the methodology of the design, and the construction method, buildability, the cost. All these item is actually play the important thing in your process of producing the building. Okay, because the objective of capability for you to think on this line is actually you will have the project can run smoothly, and they want give the value to the end user or to your client. Okay, so as you know, the process of the design start from the design, and then we have a discussion, and then make sure the design can be built. So this one is more technical, and we have the endorsement, and we have the interfacing work with other consultant, and we construct the design, and then until we handing over the design to the client. Okay, so this one is actually the project life cycle. Okay, I want to introduce you how is actually the project running up until the client get the building from you, meaning that you will handing over the project to the client. Start from the client appoint you as an architect, you design it and you build it, and after that you handing over to the client. Okay, so first of all, of course, you start with the design stage. So within the design stage, you have the feasibility study, and then you have the design, the ideas you give to the client. Once the client agree, then after that you document the design. Okay, you lock the design, and you issue the tender, you giving to the contractor. And after that, the contractor will award on the project and will construct. Okay, so after the contractor enter to your project, so we call it, that one is the construction contract management. All right, because that one, once you sell the tender, then certain number of the contractor join the tender to bid the tender up until handing over. So all this process, okay, this period we call it is the construction contract management. And then after that, once one contractor award, okay, we appoint the contractor. So we call it, that one is the construction period. Okay, so we have the role on this phase is actually more on the managing the construction. Okay, so after that, we complete the project, the contractor complete the project, and then we hand it over to the client, and we have the defect liability period. I hope that you know what is the defect liability period. It's actually the period when the contractor still responsible if there is any default in the project. Okay, so up until we call it is CMDD, meaning that is after the contractor making good all this defect. All right, so we call this one is a project life cycle. Okay, so the project start from the feasibility study, initiating the project, up until the DLP period complete. Okay, we call it is project life cycle. So the activity on this period, we call it the project management activity. So in this period, is actually not only architect involved, but also a lot of consultant involved on this one. Okay, and then after that, we will handing over to the owner. Okay, then they start the occupancy period. So once we handing over to the owner 100%, no more contractor not involved anymore because they already making good all the defect, all those things. So the building itself now under responsibility of the operation and maintenance management. So until sampai bila-bila they want to use that building lah. So but for certain period, we call it, this one is life cycle costing, meaning that the costing up and start from the feasibility study and up until the commissioning period, we call it is life cycle costing. Okay, so the whole thing, meaning that our involvement is only not the whole process sampai operational, no, only up until the handing over saja. So we call it is the life cycle project. So what I want to give you the talk is actually the period within this area, the start from the design stage up until the defect liability period. Okay, so this is the actually we will involve on the process, and this actually is the time that we still need to be very creative. We still need to crack our head to solve the problem, and we have to be able to oversee any issue which actually will come up during this period. Okay, so I will explain you stage by stage, then you will understand actually how is it. All right. Okay, the stages of the project, usually we start from the conceptual stage, design development stage, and then execution stage and transfer to user. Okay, so every stage, they have their own objective. Okay, why you have the conceptual stage, we must have some timeline or some apa dipanggil objective to achieve. Okay, so every stage they have their own objective. Because after we have the big objective of the project, then we itemize one by one for every stage. So during the conceptual stage, the objective of the during this time is actually we just some sort as we just explore what actually the clients want, and then we also we have to capture actually what are the needs from the client. Okay, so from this one we haven't done the design yet. Okay, we haven't done the design yet because this one we just want to know actually what is actually clients want. So the output of this one, you have to produce some sort like a scope of book or some sort like a design brief, you know. But because sometimes client they know what they want, but they cannot express actually what are the item they need to be built. Okay, they just macam so you have to meet the client, and then you have to explore actually. Okay, and then after that, you also should be able to translate what the clients want. And then after that, you have to create the space, you know, as per needed by the clients, because you already translate whatever that clients want. I say then you translate it into the drawing. Okay, and then you express, you demonstrate that actually this is the room, this is the building, and the space between one space to another space, just like the drawings lah. Okay, and then you produce it into the drawing, just very schematic drawing, and then that one also you give the idea, the beauty of the design, your skill, you can show to the client your skill, you know. So all these things. So the objective of this conceptual stage is actually all these three items. Okay. So actually what are the one is objective, and then what are the item that you need to do. Okay, first of all is this one is actually this one also actually my checklist juga, because even though I got the small project or big project, all these things still the same. So I have to make sure that actually not all the my checklist, but it's but some of my checklist actually to for me to make sure that actually I jot down whatever that need to be provided in the project. So first of all, you have to identify the need of the client. Let's say client want to build a house, client want to build a for my case, for the airport, client want to build the airport. So what type of the airport that he wants to produce? So even the house also, you need to know actually how many bedroom they need. You know what type of the building that they want to build. You must identify first the need from the client, and from there you can collect your data. Okay, the data meaning that is for example, if bungalow, then you can check the number of family member, how many family member they have. And then for me, for the airport, let's say actually what type of aircraft they will landed in the airport. Okay, and then so the data ni meaning that you cannot build, you cannot design benda tu turun dari langit macam tu aja, cannot. Even though you have the assignment from the lecturer, you have the project. Okay, the lecturer give you the project, then in the same time lecturer also give the design brief, right? So when you study, of course the lecturer give you the design brief, then you translate the design brief into your design. But sometimes when you get the project, the client not even have the design brief. Okay, they just macam, because they are not the technical, they don't have any technical knowledge, you know. They just layman like that. But what they want to know is, I want to have a museum, let's say, or I want to have a office tower. That's all. Okay, but you don't know the design parameter. What is the design parameter that actually will guide you into the design? Because the beauty of the building, something yang subjective, and that one can come later. Okay, but you must make sure that your design should be correct first. Okay, so you must have some parameters to guide into your design. Okay, how you have the design parameter? Okay, by identifying the client's need, and then by having the data collection sometimes. Because for usually for the I will show you later for my case study. But sometimes you need to collect the data, okay, to produce the design perimeter. Okay, for my experience, last time I involved in the Celcom Tower in PJ, but I'm not doing that. I'm not the architect for that. But then the client asked me to, they have the tower, okay, but actually they also know actually, let's say how many tower I forgot, how many level I forgot, 25 floors, but they don't know actually, even though that one is already identified, this is the Celcom Tower, then the design is there, but they don't know how to put the room inside there. They know actually that one is a tower, but tower, you know, office tower is just the blank floor, you know, every level, and you have the service area, but they don't know how to put the special arrangement inside the building. Okay, so I have to collect the data for every department, and I have to collect the data actually how many staff they have and what are the activities they have, because some of them they are doing the marketing, but they are not sitting in the building. Okay, they go outside, and some of it is they do during the office hour, they have to sit down full time in the office, meaning that the activity for every staff is different. So the need of activity, the need of the space also different, because the activity different. You know, dia tak semestinya macam in the house kan. In the house, the space of the living room, the function is different with the bedroom. Tapi in the office, semua sama kan, is the working place. But the type of the working place is actually different. Depend on the department. Okay, account department is different with the marketing department. You know, and then the IT department also different. Okay, so you have to know, and then berapa kerap, how often they sit occupant the building. You also have to know. So from there we collect the data. Okay, how many person, what are the activities, how long actually they stay in the office, what are the equipment they need, what are the tools they're using in the office. So we have to collect all this data. So from there we know actually how many floors they can occupy in that building. So it's end up we have 5 floor, if I'm not mistaken, free. So they don't have to use the whole floor to occupy the building with all her stuff. And then for that free building, they can rent it out to other company actually for the income for the company. Okay, so that's why the data is very important because this one is very objective. It's not subjective. Eh? Because it's something subjective. Actually, architecture is a bit difficult because we deal with the subjective and objective thing. Okay, subjective is really how we convince to the client, how we convince to the public that actually our building is very nice, you know, elok dipandang mata, orang Melayu cakap kan, senang ditengok, something yang iconic. So that one is the appearance. But then maybe I will, maybe among you all pun you sometimes debate kan, oh this design cantik, and then some of you maybe cakap tak cantik because not function, because of some reason, then they say tak cantik, because this thing is very subjective. But we as a designer, we must have something yang objective to make the building sustain. Okay, this objective thing meaning that is something yang memang pasti, yang semua orang will agree with that statement. Okay, so this is very important and you should have in your design. Okay, then only your design can be, we can say is your design is actually successful and reliable. Okay, so lanjut lagi. If you have any question, you just stop me, then you can ask. I don't know, maybe this one is the formal or informal, I don't know, but I just talk, and then if you have the question, you just ask. Okay, santai merapu-meraban juga sebab. Okay, now, so the data collection is very important. And then the one is something that very, very objective and it's actually will be used in your design. And also the project objective, you must collect from the client. What are the objectives? Why you want to build this building? Why you need to have this building? Okay, so what kind of the goals that they have? Okay, so you have to ask to the client, or else let's say the client, sometimes the client they don't know how to express with the exact words. Sometimes you just throw conversation, you know, you just simbang-simbang. Sometimes when you approach the client, not necessarily this one is formal. Sometimes you go to you main golf somewhere with the client, you know. Sometimes you go to the restaurant, then you just talk, and then after that they will express the need of the building, the objective, then you translate it into your understanding and into your word. Okay, so okay, then you get that project objective and goals, and after that you also must have the knowledge on the development strategies facing. Okay, facing ni because sometimes the client said, okay, I want to have for the housing, let's say I want to have let's say 300 units of housing, but I don't have enough money to build those 300 building. So what I have is only for 100 unit housing first. Okay, and then after that, after we have the profit, then only the client have the another 200 unit of the building. So you also must know how to strategy your design. Okay, when you do the design, you must know how to strategize. Okay, this one is phase 1, this one is phase 2. So during between phases too, what are the essential item that you need to provide? Meaning that you have to provide, for example, you must provide the access first, or you must provide the road, the whole road, the whole infra first, then only you build 100 unit. But the infra should be developed on the first phase first, because this infra is connected from phase 1 to phase 2. So all these things, you must have the knowledge. Meaning that when you do the design, usually you do the ultimate design because the client wants 300 unit, for example. Then when you do the design for 300 unit, and then you say to the client, okay, we build this one first, okay, and then we have to we build the infra. But this infra, it won't affect on the construction for phase 2 and phase 3, because by the time phase 2 develop, this infra already completed. Okay, so you must strategize on your planning. Okay, so kalau you don't have that kind of idea, then the client don't have the money to build. Let's say you build this one first, and then you build the second one, and then you have to demolish for certain work. Also, it will cost the extra money for the client. Okay, so you need to be very creative on the way you think, the way you design your planning. You have to be very creative, and in terms of the strategy, in terms of the phasing. Okay, and then lagi satu is operational strategies. So operational strategies meaning that you have to know, for example, the airport. Usually airport ni, we develop the airport is not from greenfield, okay, because the cost is very expensive for the greenfield. So usually it's upgrading project, but the airport cannot be closed during the construction. It's operating, meaning that we call it is operating building. And so when the building operate, but you still do the construction. So how you define the construction during the operational time. Okay, so and during the construction also, it won't affect or it won't disturb the operational building, meaning that the airport still can operate, when the construction berjalan. Okay, so you must have this strategy. Okay, so I will show you later in my case study how actually the process on doing that. Okay, and then of course the economic and budget, you have to know how much is the budget from the client. Okay, and then how much is the profit also. You have, let's say, if this profitable building, then you have to make sure that actually client have a profit on that building. So for example, if you build an apartment, so you can give the advice to the client actually how many unit that you have to they have to design and they have to provide, and actually and then how much is actually profit for them. So kita tak nak nanti cakap okay kita tak boleh shock sendiri. You just simply said 300 unit. You cannot simply say like that, so without study on the feasibility study, without the studying on the dipanggil is gross development profit, gross development GDV value for that development. Okay, you have to study first, then only you know actually how many unit that developer should build on that development. You can give the advice to them. You tak boleh cannot simply I have 10 story for block A, you have let's say 10 story for block B, you have 12 story. You cannot simply say like that. And then how many unit do you have? But based on what? You must have the basic. Okay, so all these things actually is something that objective that you have to consider before you go to the design. So the conceptual stage is actually very crucial. You must be able to capture correctly, and then you must lock on this one. Because once this thing change, if the client have the changes on this thing, automatically your design will be changed. So it will become the never-ending story. Sometimes if you don't have any statement yang firm, then client also don't know what to do. Then sometimes clients also want sekejap nak A, sekejap nak B. So it will become the never-ending story design. Then end up your design can be built. Dah tengok-tengok dah cantik, dah show sendiri, tengok-tengok rupanya budgetnya tak cukup juga. So no point. Alright, so all this conceptual stage tu you have to itemize. I hope when you go practice, not only practice, when you do the thesis also later for the final, and or you do the even though the design that when the lecturer give it to you, the project, so all these things then you have to identify first. Okay. So the conceptual step. Okay, I want to show you the example. That's why in this talk I'm not going to show you. I'm not talking about the design. I'm not talking about the philosophy. Because I think there is person yang more creative on that sense. So I just share my knowledge, my experience more on the reality, more on the more on the reality in the practice. Actually, how actually happen in the outside in the practice, and then so that you can be considered during your design. Okay, so for example, this one. Okay, I just want to ask you, how many of you have been to the National Science Center? I think tak ada lagi kot, or maybe 1 or 2% from the person yang who watch this one. Or even some people maybe they don't realize actually we have the science center, you know. Kan, performing arts of course you know the performing arts because of the location in the center of the city, but maybe you just pass through, or maybe if you have the event or you must want to see the theater, you go to the performing art. But other than that, you won't go to that performing art center, correct or not? And then even the national center, myself, I think last time when my kids kecil lagi, I went there. Then I also don't know. I just go there, and then after that only few hours. Then after that I go. I don't know. Now what happened? I don't know. But I think but if you pass through that road, kan, you can see, oh, that building very nice. Even the performing arts center also is that building very nice. But tapi if you see that building, you just appreciate, oh, the building very nice. That's all. It's just like the iconic building. But it's very hard for the people to go there if you don't have any reason. Okay. Why? Because they don't have the proper operational strategy. They don't have any proper program. They performing arts center, at least if you have the show, then you go there. But if you don't have the show, you won't go there. You won't go to the performing arts. You just pass through only. Okay? Because you don't have the reason. Why? Because there is no program in that. Program meaning that is the program is just like macam event. You don't have any event. Unless if you have the event, then only you go. So the event should be that's why the client, you just cannot say, I want to build the performing arts center. You just cannot simply say like that. Through my experience, I experience also not only on the airport, I experience in designing the museum. So I work together with the Canadian museum expert. So they teach me how to design the museum. It's very good actually, good knowledge, good experience, because actually they teach me how to design the program of the building of the museum. Okay, they didn't teach me on the form of the building, because because I'm the architect, that I'm supposed the one who designed the building. But they teach me how to design the program, meaning that the program, you cannot just simply, I want the performing art. Even last time my client also asked me, okay, I want to have a museum. Okay, so they just cannot simply say like that, because it's happened last time. This one company asked me to do the museum for his office. So he cannot say just simply the museum. So what are the item that you want to provide in the museum? Okay, what are the activities that you want to provide apart of the exhibit? Because I don't think that people will interested on your building to go to inside just looking at some static artifact. You won't go in there. How many of you have been to Museum Negara? Okay, if the Museum Negara don't have the event, it's very hard for the people to enter to that building. Correct? So you must have the program. You must have the activity. So the program, for example, for the short term and the long term. For the short term, let's say, okay, for every month, you must have some program that will attract the people to come into your building. Okay, the program, when I talk the program, meaning that some event, some exhibition, the temporary exhibition, maybe you can ask the artist to do some activity inside, or scientists, or you do some activity inside, So once you have the something, the proper program, then people will go to your place. If you just keep quiet like that, the building just static stand like that. So it just you just see the building as a building itself. So we call it this building is unsustainable. Unsustainable because dia tak boleh nak sustain. And you bayangkan, you imagine the operator of this building, they have to use the money because maybe some building is not profitable, but some building is profitable. So how do you do maintenance? How you do the maintenance for this building without the income? Okay, you must, that's what I say, you ask for the government to pay for the maintenance fees. Okay, so that is actually the building is not sustained and actually is not feasible. So a lot of public building in KL, sometimes that building just like the iconic building, that's we call it is just like the white elephant because just the building itself, just like the structure, there's no activity, there's no event. Okay, maybe some certain thing that government need to build just for the image of the building, but we also have to make sure we must have something on that building because building is actually is a space for the people to live inside, to have some activity inside. So if you don't have the activity, if you don't have the people to go inside your building, it's just like the sculpture. Might as well you just design the sculpture inside of the building because you don't have any maintenance. Even other maintenance one is the lower maintenance cost compared to the building, especially for the iconic building. The cost for the iconic building is the big building is expensive, very expensive. So this one is two example building yang actually lacking on the operational strategies, which actually during the design, architect should be able to identify. Okay, you must have this one, you must have this one. So at least you give the idea. When you handing over to the client, when end user or operator, end user can be as an operator of that building. So you must give the idea. Because when you give the space, when you give the facility in that building, based on the activity apa yang they want to provide in that building. So that's why you put the facility. So you have to, the client have to demonstrate what are the program that they want to put, and you translate it into the facility. Facility meaning that the rooms or the space doesn't mean room, the space that you want to provide in your building. Okay, so this one you must, during that's why I told you the design stage is very crucial because this item yang determine your design letter. So you have to firm up all this design brief, then only you can design the building. Understand? Any question? Tak ada? Tak ada? Okay, I continue. So for example, this one, the wetland, ini mesti some of you maybe can, Taman Wetland Putrajaya. Okay, some of you, I think, already went to the go to the wetland ni, and then ada yang notice tak National Visual Art Gallery Kuala Lumpur? Where is it? Ada tak? Have you been to this gallery? I think only few people enter to this. This one is actually the location is next to the Performing Arts Center. The space is quite nice actually. But they try to build something yang iconic juga, but still you can see it's just like the abandoned building. I'm not saying this one is tak cantik. I'm saying that actually this building is unsustainable building. The design is I cannot say this design fail, but then this one we call it is, kenapa kita cakap unsustainable building, because now the building is just like the building mati macam tu aja. It's not hidup, you know. Maybe some people yang ada kepentingan can enter lah, but if you go to overseas, sometimes you like to go to the gallery, correct not? Kan, siapa-siapa yang biasa pergi overseas, sometimes you looking for the gallery because you want to enter. But why in this National Visual Art Gallery in your country, tapi you tak ada interest pun nak pergi kat situ? What happened? So this one because of the lack of the program. But I've seen some of the government try to inject the activity inside because this National Visual Art Gallery dengan apa performing art gallery, the location is side by side, so they sometimes they have something in between. Yeah, I can see the apa namanya, the usaha from the government to do something, but still fail. And then tambah lagi now is pandemic, lagi sepi lah. But then during the normal day kan, I can see the effort from the government, but still is unsuccessful. Yeah, so meaning that you need the architect or somebody yang creative to create the program first. The expert to create the program first. Then only you can call, or maybe architect can do it, or maybe the specialist, the specialist can do it, can design the program. Then and after that you can ask the architect, meaning that we can do some upgrading on this one to make the building reliable and sustain. So government should do some upgrading on this area. Same goes to wetland park, Putrajaya. You must have if you want to jogging, to have a jog dekat dalam ni, then okay, you will go. But inside there kan, you go kan, just jogging aja, tengok pemandangan, rasa pemandangan, that's all. There's no event, there's no, just mati macam tu aja. If you do the business inside kan, you bankrupt because only few people aja masuk dekat sini. Okay, so all these things, meaning that what I'm trying to impress is actually you only design the building is not enough. Okay, and then you must form up the design briefs, you must form up the program. This one is very crucial, that will determine your design and will determine that actually your building sustain. So this one is very important. Okay, kalau yang kat sini tak firm up, then your design ada opportunity untuk jadi fail. Okay, so this one, and then of course KLCC, I'm not saying this project fail, no, but then this one is, I just use the sample. I hope I tak ini. This one is Kuala Lumpur City Centre. The objective of the government, of course, they want to build the tower, the highest tower in KL, in the world, but they forgot actually, they just simply want to build for the Petronas staff. And then end up here, most of the floors are empty. They don't know how to fill up the so the building is just the building. A lot of people coming here to take the photo, all those things, but in terms of the function, if you notice that actually a lot of floors kan dekat dalam tu is empty. Are empty because yalah, staff tak ramai pun kan, tak seramai the numbers of floors kat situ. Ini pun satu hal, instead of you build the office, why not you just build the KL Tower? KL Tower is memang there's no space pun, just lift, and on top of that is a restaurant kan. You want to build something that had the highest building, the highest tower kan. But the objective, the government already made the objective, because this one is they want to build the highest tower, office tower kan in KL. They made the objective, but in terms of the function, in terms of the occupancy, they still after so many years, they still have a vacant space inside. Not only the KLCC, but some of the office tower in KL, if you look at in KL kan, still got a lot of office tower yang kosong lagi. Why? Because just like macam I told you my experience involved in Celcom Tower, and they just build the building. Okay, I want to have, the designer want to have, the client decided that they want to have 25 floors of the office. That's all, without justifying why you need 25 floors. Okay. And the function, even though office tower, even though let's say you have let's say later you will do the thesis, or you will do some project, and then the client just simply give you, okay, this is the office tower. Okay, so you just petik dari langit, I want 25 floor, I want 35, I want 50 floor. Based on what? You don't have any reason. You just simply said 50. So do you think that the client want to invest the money just simply like that 50 because that number of 50 to come from the langit? Okay, I want 50 floor. It's no, because it's not cheap for the client to invest the money to build the building. You must justify. Okay, you must ask the client, what is the function? Yes, everybody know, office tower, yes, office tower. But the activity in the office is actually every department is different. Not only in every department. Let's say if they want to rent to the outside, okay, from one office to another office, they have a different nature of work. The way you work is different. Okay, just now I mentioned you a different department, accounting department with marketing department and with the design department, the nature of work is different. So the requirement of every room is different. Okay, the need of the area of every room of the people is different. The size of the studio room and the size of the admin room is different. Okay, so you have to capture in the beginning. If not, it will become like this. Okay, your office will be a lot of vacant space. Yeah, understand? Okay. Okay. After the design stage, kan? So all this thing, actually the objective macam I cakap tadi, the objective is just for you to come up with the design brief, okay, and then you come up with the idea, okay. After collecting the data, after identifying the needs, the function, the requirement of the building, you come up with the design. Then only you can justify how many floors actually your client need to build. How many for the housing, how many unit that actually client can provide based on the size of the you study also on the site, the size of the site. You study on the feasibility study. You study on the cost of the development, all those things. Then you come up with some idea. You come up with the design. But that one is only the idea and the design, concept design. Concept design. And then after that, you go to the next stage. We call it is design development. Okay, so yang earlier tu is just the concept design. Is just like macam you can explore. Okay, any knowledge that any experience you get from the school. Okay, because selalunya fresh graduate ni, the idea is very fresh, so you can explore macam-macam. You can do it macam-macam that client impress. Alright, so the design memang you just explore design tu. And then after that, you will go to the design development stage. Actually, design development stage ni is to make your design more practical, to make sure actually your building can be constructed. Alright, and then you also can identify. After you study on the design, then you can see the constraint of your design. Okay, and then you can see the restriction on the design, and then you can see whether your design can be built within the budget or not. Okay, so on this stage, the consultant is not only the architect. Okay, on this stage, usually the other consultant will join on this project, on this process. Engineers or any specialists, M&E, CNS will join on this project and will give the input on your building. Okay. Berapa dah? Pukul 10. Okay, I just make it fast. Aku takut tak sempat. Banyak cakap. Okay, now apa nama? Engineers, architect, M&E, CNS, and any specialist that need to join on this team, kan? We will join and will give their opinion to make sure actually the building can be built. Why? Because on this building, not only architectural item. On this building, they already have the structure of the building, because to make sure that actually your building can be built. And then of course the system of the building, M&E, mechanical, electrical, you know, even ICT also already must have the input on this stage. Must have the input on your design, so that your design, and then you also cannot be very, orang utara kata ketegak sangat kan, cannot change your design, because you have dekat sini you must work as a team and you have to tolerate each other. Because sometimes sometimes benda tu macam you cannot be built, you know, kadang maybe sometimes have the cost impact, which actually the client don't have any budget, so you must change a little bit to compromise the design with other consultant. But then you also cannot be bullied by the other consultant. Sometimes the other consultant also bully you juga kan. They sometimes lazy to think, they don't want to change their design, then ask the architect to change the design. But you must firm. You must firm, but in a way also you must tolerate to others. Because to make sure actually your building can be built. And then at the time also you must be able ask to the other consultant the equipment that they need to put inside the building, especially for the building system, for the aircon, for any equipment, you know. So you must identify the type materials that they want to use. We also must identify on this stage. And then apart from that also you have to study on the existing infra. Okay, sometimes you want to build this one, but end up you just realize there's no electrical supply. For example, you build something in the island, and then you suddenly you realize actually there's no electrical supply inside, and water supply pun tak ada. Kan? So instead of you have to provide the main infra, which actually cost a lot to the client, Mainkan cuma nak buat satu chalet in pulau, then you have to supply all this infra for the electrical, for the water supply. The cost tu lagi banyak daripada buat satu chalet saja kan. So you must study also on the existing infra, because you cannot just put aside on the infra issue. Actually infrastructure is very important, it's essential for your building. So you have to study on the existing. What are the existing they already have? What are the items that you need to add, you know, on the essential item? You have to study. And then also you also must have the cost analysis and the value management. This one is related to the value to the client. Instead you spend with banyak dekat sini, so better that money you can use for the other requirement, for the other design. So you must do some value engineering inside there to make optimum costing. And then also you must know the rules and regulation from the authority. At that time then you also have to study. For the airport example, for the tower you must have the height berapa, the maximum height. We have to study on the height of the tower, control tower of the airport. You cannot just simply say, oh, I have 100 meters height, or I have 200 meters height. So there are the regulation from the IATA. Actually how we calculate the height of the tower. Even though the local authority or the local authority requirement, you must know. Some item that you must already hands-on on this requirement. As a designer, you must know. The basic thing is only, let's say, the setback from the boundary, you must know. Okay, the distance berapa. And then even though the requirement from the bomba, you must know, because it will affect on your design. Because kalau you cut short sendiri, you design short sendiri, you won't get approval from the authority, then the building cannot be approved, then can be built. Logic tak? Macam tu kan? So that's why you must know the rules and regulation from the authority. Even though the contract also you must know. What is the contract? So this one is the development design stage. Okay, what happen kalau you tak tahu? Contohnya, design building, you short sendiri, you just buat, then over budget. The developer don't have enough budget for them to build. And then halfway, tengok tak ada yang beli, okay, tak reliable, meaning that the buyers, not enough buyers for the developer to build the building until completion. So end up like that, you know. And then what happened? It become the abandoned building. Tak jadi, tak build pun. So you can you capture the meaning of creativity beyond appearance or not? Dari situ pun you can see all these things. You need the creativity, not only the shape of the building, but you need the creativity of thinking, and you need the creativity to foresee what will happen. What are the issues that will happen in every step, in every stages. Okay, so contohnya macam there's the abandoned hotel in Labuan. So you can tell the client, instead of you doing the hotel, why not you just do the resort? Easier, is cheaper in terms of the maintenance. Okay, but how many people of Malaysian going to the Labuan? If they don't have any family, okay, if they don't have any purpose going to Labuan, they won't go to Labuan to spend your ticket for more than 800 going to fly to Labuan. To stay in the hotel. You must have something, then you must have the reason to go to the hotel. So hotel in Labuan, I don't know now, but I think there's no relevant in the Labuan. Labuan is pulau, so why not you just the resort saja? Kan? Kalau if like this kan, even though when you calculate on the paper, you tell the client, okay, if the full house you can have the profit this much. If the full house. But what happened is only few people coming to the hotel, so not full house. So end up apa? The operator rugi. So that not reliable. So why not we at the beginning advise to the client actually what type of the development which actually lagi feasible for them to build. We have to think on that way. So the design is very important. When the lecturer give you also the project, in the exercise during the school for syarat you to be an architect, usually the lecturer will give you some project. They just give the very brief requirement. You must be able to be very creative in determining the design brief. You must create something because it will train you during your school. Then when you go out from the school and you become the architect or designer, you already have that kind of attitude. Okay? When you have that kind of attitude, then it will save the client's money. And then it will make your building, your design can be used. And we can call it a successful design. So after this cuti ni for the next semester, you must be able to think on the first week. Selalunya lecturer will look at your creativity, look at your design brief. So the creativity not only go, because I was also student last time. At the beginning, I already think about the design to be like this. That's why I was thinking, oh no wonder lecturer selalu reject my design because my basic tu tak ada. And so I have to create actually. At the beginning, we have to create the design brief, design perimeter. So this kind of exercise will bring you on your practice letter. Okay, understand? Okay, this one also there's no interfacing work with the other macam tadi I cakap. We as an architect also cannot be very ketegak sangat kan. You also must consider your the other consultant punya kerja juga. You must be able to give and take. So if not kan, it's happen like this. If you don't have enough communication with the engineers, I don't know who siapa which one yang ketegak, and the engineer or architect, I also don't know. They have the column in the middle of the passageway, or else become jadi let's say architect just simply said, okay, I want to add another floor or 2 more floors, and that the structure pun tak kuat, because when engineers calculate at the beginning, they only calculate, let's say three-story building, and you just simply tambah je, turun dari langit tambah lagi 2 floor, and it will collapse. So all these things actually you must be able to oversee the problem, because if you don't follow the engineers, what will happen? So why must I follow the engineers? Because they also have the reason why. Okay, so same on this one. You design cantik-cantik, and then end up-nya usually office tower kan, office tower on the certain level in the middle tu you must have the, usually we call it a service level. Service level tu usually for the aircon, for the building system, you know, building management system, all those things only in the middle of the tower. Okay, you have to think how those equipment to put inside the building. You fikir, tengok nak letak atas tak boleh. You cannot, you don't know how to install the equipment. Because, yeah, tower, you know, yeah, the lift with the limited access of the lift, you know, you don't know how to put equipment inside. So when you design, you have the consultant, usually we have the technical meeting. This one is during the early stage lagi, during the design development, the detail, you must ask the engineers what type of equipment they want to do. Engineers sometimes, okay, I want to put this aircon system like this. They simply said like that. You cannot just accept like that. But you also have to ask the type of equipment, the size there, because you have to provide the space. But not only the space that you have to provide, also how to put the equipment install in your building. You also must have to think on that way. Even though this one is belum construct lagi, but you have to think how to put inside that. Okay, so either it will affect on the facade treatment, or maybe it will affect on the size of the lift, the services. You already during the design detail, you must think on this issue. So that's why the creativity is needed during this stage, meaning that you must be able to foresee. Don't worry, this one will come through your experience, but for this one then I just share, meaning that it's just some sort like macam soalan bocor lah. So when you do the design or when you do the practice, you already alert on this one, on the issue. Okay, same goes to the ducting, wiring, because the problem, but nowadays we have the beam because bidding the computer beam tu they ada pun because of the M&E issue. Usually M&E they will come up with the single line drawing. They don't show how the ducting run. They don't show the how is the wiring. You know, they just come up with the single drawing, we call it. Then later when the contractor want to install the equipment, then only contractor think on how to install. End up-nya apa? End up sometimes we need to hack the wall, you need to hack the structure, anything. It actually cost for the project. So to avoid that, you must be able to foresee. If not, then sometimes then it will end up when your ceiling very low. Your design very low, which actually sometimes it doesn't meet the requirement from the client. Maybe the client want the room, they want to have the high ceiling, end up-nya the ceiling is very low. Or sometimes lagi menyedihkan, sometimes the height of the ceiling cannot comply with the authority requirement. So how to solve it? Sometimes this issue come up. Then we have to think something. Then on the spot you must think. As let's say besok you are become the project architect, so you must be able to detect all this issue kan very fast, and you must be able to solve it on the spot juga. You must be able like that. So benda tu is actually architect ni dia tak boleh berhenti berfikir until the completion. Benda ni senantiasa ada isu-isu ni. Okay, but on this thing you must be able to foresee. All this problem kan you must be able to foresee actually what will happen, what are the issue yang akan come out. This one during the design. Okay, so the next stage, any question? Tak ada? Okay, the next stage is execution stage. Execution stage tu just to make sure that actually the design, your design can be built by the contractor. So this one is more monitoring your project, and then within the cost they actually already provided and allocated by the client. And the project also can complete on time and can achieve the efficiency of the progress. Meaning that if they say 2 years, then the contractor can complete it within 2 years, not 3 years, 4 years, because it will impact on the cost juga. Yeah. Okay, the stage on the execution stage, you must be able, must do this mobilizing team, mana the contractor masuk, tim apa yang masuk dalam in this execution stage ni, and then how to, in terms of the jentera apa yang akan masuk, you must be able to determine. Yeah? Not for every stage of the construction, we have the stage of the construction from the earthwork until the finishing. So the jentera kan, the equipment jentera ni, dia tak datang sekali, dia depend on the requirement during that stage, the contractor. So you must be able to identify what type of jentera and will be located on site tu dekat mana. Yeah, even though the material, so you must be able to think. And then work packaging, the sequence of work, macam I cakap tadi in terms of the phasing, yeah, the procurement strategy. Procurement strategy tahu tak maknanya what is the type of the contractor, ya, sama ada design and build, conventional, you must be able to give the advice to the client. And then if there is the technical issue, you must be able to solve it on the spot. And also monitoring of cost and planning, scheduling. These two is actually related each other. Yeah, you have to do monitoring work properly based on the contract, and also you must be able to have the planning on the construction, not the planning of the floor plan, no, but the planning, the scheduling of the construction. Yeah, you are not doing this, but you must be able to read this scheduling. It's good for you if you can produce this one, but then you must be able to read this schedule. Yeah, actually, all this activity kan, there is the people who will in charge on certain activity. But as an architect, you must know everything. You must know everything in the principle, so that you can give the comment, you can give the, because you are the lead consultant, the architect is the lead for the project. And so you must be able to foresee, you must be able to answer, and you must be able to know, to read their understanding, the idea. But after that, maybe the other people who more expert for resolving the issue will give the advice. But you must play the role as the leader, the important person to make a decision and give the advice to the client. Okay, so this one is more managing project. Macam saya cakap ni, because on site kan macam-macam ada, the owner, the project management, architect, all this ni. So you must be able to handle all these people, and you as the, dipanggil apa kalau orkestra tu, so you yang bermain orkestra tu, you yang tentukan the rentak dalam construction tu. Okay, so this one also example. This one ada some project, the airport. Okay, the red, this one, the red one is the existing one. Okay, and then the clients want to build expansion of the airport. But macam I cakap tadi, the airport should be still operate during the construction. So how we determine the phasing of the construction, while in the same time the airport still operating, and the construction won't disturb the operational of the airport, meaning that the aircraft still can landing. This one is runway, this one is runway, and then this one we call it the parking for the aircraft. So when the contractor doing the expansion of the building, okay, the aircraft still can parking, the passengers still can enter to the terminal, and then the construction won't disturb the operational. So we have to propose to them the phasing of the construction. The construction, meaning that which area that we have to build first. Okay, after we build the apa, so this one kan, this is the original airport. The red one is original airport. The green one is the new wing of the airport. So how we build this new, and then in the same time inside the existing airport ni, we still have to demolish, and we still have to upgrade the facility inside the building. So what we have to do is we are doing the phasing. The phasing is the green one kan kita buat dulu. The green one kita buat dulu, and we put the hoarding. So the green and the apa ni biru, the blue one we do first. This one is the first facing. Okay, so in the meantime the airport can run as usual, can operate as usual. Okay, after the first phase, this one the new wing complete, then only all the airport, all the operational, we move to the new wing and we put the hoarding and we renovate the existing building and we renovate. So the aircraft kan, yang ini pun we renovate. So the aircraft for the time being after this one finish, the aircraft will parking here. So we do the renovation. Once we complete the second phase, actually there's the phase for the interface between phase 1 and phase 2, how we link. So apa nama this one is the facing. So during during the design process, we already told the client, okay, this is the phase, what we should do, what are the items that we need to do first. Then only we do the facing. Then the client agree. We have to declare to because airport dia melibatkan international airspace traffic, so we have to do some approval from the airspace traffic controller. So once approved, then only we can do the project. Okay. Then after that, once you finish, this one is the transfer stage, just to make sure that actually the building can be operated by the operator. For the operator, for example, for the airport, usually we have to transfer to the operator. Then we give the training, because inside the airport there is a lot of building management system. There is a lot ICT system that operator need to know how to operate. So we do the training for them to understand how to operate the building, and then we do the final count to report to the client, and we do the facility. We get the facility management to macam tadi lah, macam I cakap, is to operate, how to operate the building. Okay, from here, any question? Ada question?
Mardiana, I think there's a question in the chat box.
Oh,
So,
ada.
yeah, so I can read it for you. So Muhammad Haikal said that what is the building typology such as gallery, museum, exhibition center are quite hard to achieve in Malaysia compared to other foreign region. So is it the treasure or artifacts inside the building plays a big factor? So he gave an example such as Mona Lisa painting inside of a building that plays a big factor to attract the visitors to come. Or is there any other strategy applied overseas that is not being applied in our country for museum, gallery and art gallery?
Okay. Museum, gallery and art gallery. Actually, museum, gallery and art gallery sama juga macam theme park juga semua. All those building is actually almost the same. The function is actually we can call it is unprofitable building, but in the same time, the government still need the profit from that one. And then apart from the profit, we also want the people will use that building. Kan? We will come. We have to create why the people wants to come into the building. To actually to determine that actually that building is sustained and that building is needed by the public. It's not only the landmark. It's not only just the building itself and then that building sleeping. Okay, through my experience working with this specialist, in fact nowadays the museum in Malaysia, the art gallery, they already try something to inject the activity, because the typology is not only the space, it's not only the artifact inside, but the artifact is determined by the program also. You must have, let's say, the short we call it is the short-term period of the exhibit item and the long-term, and also we can call it is permanent. And permanent tu is which actually I give the identity to the museum. For example, my client last time is Lembaga Getah Malaysia. Okay, so they want to build a museum regarding on the getah or anything yang relate to getah to give the exploration for the public. That actually getah is not only getah karet or taya. Actually everything around in our surrounding is actually related to getah. So to give the example, to give the apa namanya kesedaran to the public, actually getah is one of our way of life. So that's only the title of the, we call it, is the title of the objective. But how we break that thing into the design brief, we have to know actually the target, who are the target for the people who will visit the museum. Not only the then they also want to expose for the penoreh-penoreh getah, pengusaha getah yang kecil-kecil, also they want to expose to them that actually getah ni membawa keuntungan, give the asset to the negara semua tu. Not only for the public but for their people also, they give the exploration. Meaning that the people who enter to this one, not only the student, because in the program of the student they have the only come and then looking at the getah. Because I also don't know what is to provide inside the museum. I also don't know. Takkanlah I just letak tayar apa semua tu. Orang pun tengok tayar kat luar pun boleh nampak kan. So buat apa you nak masuk museum? So you must have something. So the essential, the typology of the ini is not only the exhibition area, but also is the program. So the program meaning that is the public space, which actually the typology, the standard typology is just the accessibility, all those things, the location, all those things. But in terms of the planning will determine by the program. Not, you cannot be just put the Mona Lisa painting inside there. You can see the Mona Lisa. Let's say the normal people want to see the Mona Lisa. I between me and you, okay, the interpretation of Mona Lisa pun is different, and I don't have any interest pun untuk tengok detail on the Mona Lisa, but some people may be very interested to look at the detail on that painting, different interest. So you cannot just think about the artifact. The most important thing in this kind of building is actually the story. The story, what are the story that you want to put inside? That one, the story is actually will determine the type of the exhibit that you want to provide. The storyteller is the most important person in the museum. The storyteller, because this storyteller, we have also the storyteller. They create the story to make the people interested in to coming into the museum. So actually, he is the most important person. Because architect only provide the space, only provide the facility, that what type of the space that you want to you need for us to provide you, kan? It can be just simply nowadays the technology lagi canggih, macam-macam, kan? So the augmented, the 3D, the 4D, So the building can be very simple, meaning that we can save the money in terms of the building form. But we can put a lot that money we can use for the facility of the articraft. Apa namanya? You can put artifact. You can put the artifact and you can put the activity, because now the technology lagi banyak, so you can put not only the static artifact, you can put interaction. People sekarang budak lagi suka main game apa semua kan. So the technology berkembang. That's why the museum also must have the design development tu, dia kena sejalan dengan teknologi. You cannot just simply put the standard museum just like a gallery for the people masuk dan tengok, but actually now people lagi suka berinteraksi. So you must think on that line, meaning that you must be able to think. The most important thing is the storyline. Once you develop the storyline, because we spend a lot of time on the storyline first. Once the client agree with the storyline, okay, and then what type of experience they want to explore, they want to express. So the experience, we also have to propose to the client. The client, the just give the simple word. Macam saya cakap tadi, to give the exploration, to give the understanding on the rubber, that's all. But the storyline, they have to tell the story. What are the story of the rubber? what are the important thing of the rubber, what the involvement of rubber in our life, then how you express in the story, it will become the interesting story. From there, they also have to give the idea what kind of environment, what kind of the ambience they want to put, and we translate, we give the facility in terms of the rooms, in terms of the space. Because sometimes maybe the space we need some lighting, some space we don't have the lighting, but even in terms of the sound effect, we need to put something, so the technology is actually more important compared to the building, but meaning that the space can should be facilitate the storyline. Understand? Any question?
Alright, thank
Consideration?
you, Mardiana, for that answer just now.
Mhm.
So maybe just to add in a bit from what you have said just now, I think with this kind of building, I think not only it have to be functional and able to attract the people, so it also have to provide the experience, especially with building like museum and art gallery. The experience inside of the building, or should we say the ambience inside of the building, does affect the law of attraction for people to come more and possibly make more profit from that. Is it true?
Yes. Hmm. Yes, and then more interactive, and then kena selari dengan teknologi. We don't know, maybe the for the next 5 years, we will have a different technology also, kan? So we must running concurrent with the new technology. Okay, and then this, consider the current COVID situation. What are the impact on your approach on convey perimeter design stage in order to acquire sustainability? Okay, COVID ni, I also because there's no precedent study on the COVID. The next question by Amy Koyum, he asked on the issue on the COVID situation, the impact of the approach to convey the parameters in the designing stage. Okay, that is we don't know actually COVID. And for example, the airport seems like macam now airport we feel like macam we don't need the airport to be expanded, to be upgraded because of now the function of the airport, because people cannot cross the border, and then the airport is the gateway to the country. So once there's no people to cross the border to enter to the country, meaning that there's no need for airport to expand. But for information, actually, even now also the airport still running. Only the volume of the aircraft also not as much as the normal volume. So for the building, especially for the profitable building, commercial building, for the airport, for the shopping mall, even I feel like macam even though the tower building also now we don't need the tower building. What we want is only the internet, the ICT item, kan? Because of that. So especially for that one, I also don't know how to answer on the impact part. To make the building still sustain, we must have think on the because building is actually facility. Facility that people, what are the activity for the people who use that building. So if you have, again, the program, that's why just now I said the program is very crucial. The program, how you determine the program, not only the museum, even the building, macam tadi tower pun, you must have the program because you must, meaning that, for example, the airport. The airport is not, if there is no aircraft, so what are the function of the airport? We have to think that actually the airport can be converted into the shopping mall. Into the shopping mall, meaning that if number of people, let's say, reduce, but still can be function as a shopping mall. If let's say like government allow us to do the shopping, then the people can have the reason also to go for the shopping and can go to the airport. And then apart from that, to make the design sustain, maybe in terms of the technology, you can put the solar panel on the roof of the airport. So by having that one, maybe you can attract the electricity, kan? You can sell. Let's say kalau benda tu terlebih, you can sell to TNB. So at least you have the apa dipanggil, you have the profit for that one. Not only the function, but in terms of the building system pun, you have to think on that way. so that that's why the building still can sustain. Memang kalau COVID ni, people also cannot avoid from this kerugian tu memang ada lah. Even though the shop lot apa semua tu memang ada, but you must think on the multifunction of the building. If the airport, what else the function that the building? Macam tadi I kata museum. Museum can be used not only the museum, it can be used as a public realm, as a public space. You can put the pasar malam, you can put something else that people will go to the museum. I can create the museum, open museum. So what I create last time when I'm doing the museum, I create is the open museum. The small build, the permanent artifact, kan? So I just design the small space for the permanent artifact. They actually, and then I also provide the amphitheater. I provide the lecture theater. The room for people to have a design exhibition, the yang formal apa semua kan. It's just the small one and for the technology item. But the rest is more on the public. Meaning that the people still come because siapa yang interested on the getah. Orang kalau cakap pergi ke museum getah, orang takkan pergi pun kan. But if you have the public area, that actually this public area will support the building, then people will come to that building. Kan? The people will come to that building and then after that automatically they will go inside for dia punya curiosity, they will go and then they will enter. So that is the building jadi akan reliable dan akan sustain. Lagi? Nah. Okay, I go to dah 15 minit lagi. Okay. So I akan pergi dekat, ada question lagi?
Assalamualaikum.
Yes.
Hi, Mardiana. I am Hazwan. I would like to ask a few questions. First of all, I really agree with your points, which the program is the utmost importance lah untuk before we start our design.
Yeah.
So, from what I can see is that maybe in our education system, like perhaps this stage is not that being emphasized in our schools. And one more thing is that maybe if we go to the industry later on, macam how much is the time is needed for we to conduct the feasibility study? Because from what you just explained just now, I think there's a lot of layers need to be identified. There's a lot of issues need to be identified. So what is the desired time that is needed for us to properly have this feasibility study? And then perhaps you can share some of the among the common methods of how you conduct the feasibility study among your projects. And then relating to this question as well, macam in any type of building, it will impact not only the client but also the people who will be using the building. Macam if for macam public building, perhaps we have the customers or the macam in case of the museum, macam orang yang the visitor yang akan datang. So how do you engage with them throughout your feasibility study? Is it either we speculate how they will interact with our building, ataupun it is advisable that we should also engage with them to properly have the thoughts on how their activities would be? Yeah, I think that's all. Thank you.
Okay, good question. Actually cerita museum bagus juga. Tak apa, it's okay. Because I also have the experience on this one, and also I work with the expertise, the museum specialist, so I know a little bit on this museum. Apa nama? Apa pertanyaan tadi Okay. So museum ni feasibility study tu actually depend on the project. The size of the project and depend on the current situation. Macam kalau and then we also can do marketing. For example, the museum we also don't know actually what is the the sambutan from the public towards to our museum. But we cannot do some speculation. Macam you cakap, you have to speculate how many person can go inside. But we must usaha kan, we must do something to meet our target. So when we do the museum, we do the concurrently between the storyline, and then we also do the promotion. We do the promotion, we are going to the school, we are going to department, we are going to the office or the public, which actually we can invite them to involve, and we can invite them to aware that actually we are doing the museum, and then to put our museum into their program. For example, the school, we can go to the Ministry of Education to mention that actually, hello, we KPM, we have the new museum, then I hope that my program can be put into your educational program. Okay, so automatically we already save the student. Let's say for at least 30% of the visitors tu kita dah cater dah kat situ. Because they have the macam wajib to enter to this museum. So at least 30% dah save dekat situ. And then lagi satu, that's why we must have the target. Who are the target for that museum? And then contohnya we go to certain people, and then we go to tourism, we have to promote. So from there, we already study, let's say for every year, how many people who wants to go to our museum, and then how many people actually can involve. Meaning what type of people who involved in our museum. Either teenagers, either family, or either student. Okay, so we know actually the type of the people who go inside who come to our museum. Because let's say for example the art gallery with the normal museum, the type of the people who enter to that building is different. Some people maybe orang tua, you yang nak pencen, you nak relax, you just sit into the gallery looking at the picture, looking at the painting, give their dia punya passionate is different. And the student who enter the museum, the passionate is different. So we must have the target of the visitors who will come to the museum. From the target, we already must have the storyline to relate with their activity, with their attitude, their behaviors. Either orang tua, either family, or either the macam saya cakap tadi, they want also getah ni, dia lembaga getah Malaysia ni, they also to give the penoreh getah to come to the museum to make this pengusaha-pengusaha kecil ni understand on the possibility on how marketing the getah. So they will give the exploration. So the target pun also orang-orang yang terlibat dengan industri getah ni, they also want to put this one into to come to the museum, meaning that they must have the seminar, they must have some exhibition, they must have the event on that one, and then lembaga getah they will have the program. They will have the program every year. How many program they have? The target, how many people they want to enter to this museum? 30%, and then dengan penoreh getah tu jadi 60%. Okay, this 60% consists of the student, consists of the family, because macam saya cakap tadi, there is the public space inside there. So every weekend they can spend their time in the taman and then enter into the museum. And then they also have pengusaha getah. So at least 60% already dalam tangan, dah confirm they will enter to the museum. This 60% they also determine the type of the apa dipanggil, the type of the activity apa. Itu dia tak ada spekulasi lah. So we already dah ni, and then in the same time we also do the marketing to confirm the 60% will enter. And then feasibility study tu, from this feasibility study then we know actually kita target let's say 100%, 60%, so we can have the feasibility study on that one. It will take time, it will take time, but this one is very crucial because it will determine the design. So usually tapi jangan lama sangat nanti jadi ke laut kan. So you must set the time with the client, actually how long that actually we must allocate the time. But my time last time is 2 months. So 2 months to come up with the design brief. Memang it's difficult. For museum is difficult because the storyline yang paling panjang. The most difficult part is the storyline. And then after that, once the storyline confirmed, then the rest will follow je. Am I answering your question? Siapa tadi?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Lagi apa lagi your question tadi? Selain tu?
Maybe you could share some of the common tips and method untuk for the data collection of the feasibility study.
Macam mana? Komen apa?
Tips dengan macam method yang untuk the feasibility study tu.
Okay, feasibility study is actually to make sure that the building is worth to be built and as the project is worth to be built. Whether that one is making money or that one is yes, we need, whether there is the need for them to build that building. Of course, they need to build the building, kan? But sometimes don't be surprised. Sometimes when we come up with the ideas, and then sometimes the client also change the project because they feel like macam this kind of project more feasible compared to the other project, kan? Tapi kalau feasibility study tu, apa nama? They depend on the first of all, I dah cakap ke laut. Apa you kan tadi? Feasibility study on apa?
I mean macam common methods yang
Methods.
methods orang biasa buat untuk jalankan the feasibility study tu.
Depend on the type of the project. Okay, if some other that project is profitable building or unprofitable, and then the profit sama ada that building feasible in terms of the needs apa is required by the public, meaning that we need to build that building because of the public or because of the need of the country, the requirement from the country, or maybe the requirement from the client that which actually need the profit. So depend on the size of the project. But feasibility study ni, through my experience, even though this building is unprofitable, the clients want to see on the whether this building feasible or not in terms of the operational. Dia orang pun tak nak membebankan. Maknanya macam tadi saya cakap in terms contohnya for the science center. Okay, in terms of the maintenance, they also need to reduce the maintenance cost, all those things. And so for unprofitable, you have to make sure that actually in terms of the maintenance too, should be in the lower cost, try to make the building simple in terms of the maintenance to make the building jadi feasible. Feasibility itu depend on the needs of the function of maknanya sekarang you must be able to determine what is the need, the must need, okay, and something yang just macam you do the must, and kalau you benda ni ada ke tak ada pun tak apa. So you must do some sort like the early stage of value management, value engineering. Okay, so you must have, dengan something yang you nice to have. Okay, this is the feasibility study. I cannot say in terms of the function satu-satu. I cannot mention that one satu-satu because that one is depend on the project. Contohnya macam kalau for the museum, the feasibility study-nya more on the actually how many people that interested to come to the museum. Whether that building, either that building akan jadi tidur macam science center tu, atau some people akan masuk ke dalam building tu tak. That's why I cakap the feasibility study for the museum, we must have the target for the visitors. Whether visitors will come to the museum or not. This one regardless on the price of the ticket, on the price of the profit, but the function. Meaning that either the people, either dia betul-betul perlukan ke tak museum ni. Then whether chief can achieve the objective of Lembaga Getah Malaysia ke tak. Meaning that by having this museum, then people will akan ada kesedaran in terms of keperluan getah atau in terms of penggunaan getah dekat dunia ni. So sama ada achieve ke tak? Kalau achieve, meaning that there is the we can say that one is a successful project lah. Lagi? Ada lagi? Tak ada.
I don't think there's any other question, but if you have any other question, maybe you can just type it on the chat box.
That's lah.
So because we have only like 5 minutes left, so I'm so sorry, Mardiana, but maybe you can brief through your case study for the 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright,
Okay,
thank you.
this one is my experience for the expansion Cebu dekat Sarawak. Okay, this one is airport lah, airport design, because my experience ialah museum tapi yang betul-betul terlaksana tu akhirnya airport lah. Okay, so I just go through very fast. Okay, the government want to expand the project of the airport Cebu as to expand the, because apa? Because of the number of aircraft landing to Cebu tu lagi lebih, meaning that why the demand, macam yang cakap tadi, kalau Labuan siapa nak pergi Labuan kan, ini Cebu because of the development of Bandar Cebu, so Bandar Cebu is developed, so apa, people lagi banyak datang pergi kat Cebu, so currently kebanyakan dari KL Kuching pergi Cebu, so cost dia banyak untuk tiket. So they try to make the direct flight KL Cebu instead of kena transit ke Kuching dulu. And then the type of the apa aircraft pun dah makin banyak dan makin besar. And so we need to expand the Cebu airport. Okay, we did the data collection on the airport. That's why I cakap data collection tu government dia cuma cakap I need to expand the airport saja. Because based on the development on Cebu during 2031 dia udah develop, then banyak people who will come to Cebu based on their projection, based on we do the social economy study first. So based on the social economy, so we realize that actually Cebu is developing city, and then the people a lot of people will come to the Cebu. From there, we also study on how many people using the aircraft, how many people using jalan using the road. So based on the aircraft, we already projected. We have the projection. This projection is based on the social economy study. Okay, so we have the data. We forecast how many people yang naik kapal terbang ada berapa, how many aircraft will land on that airport, you know. So and then after that we also determine the end user. Okay, in the airport it's not only macam tadi museum only one operator, but in the airport we have so many end user. We have apa nama, maybe as the operator, airlines as the user. Inside that airport we have the immigration, we have the custom, we have DCA, and then we also have the security, and then we have the quarantine. Makis we call it. Okay, so after we do the data collection and we determine the end user, from that end user we also ask them for every airlines ni, how many airlines, what type of the airlines, because airlines banyak, MAS ada, AirAsia ada kan, and then on the airlines also we ask how many aircraft that actually you land, and then how many staff, ground staff you have, then how they operate the aircraft, how they parking the aircraft, how they apa namanya, they turunkan all the passengers, you know. So we ask the airlines, and then the immigration also, how they work on immigration, what are the tasks they need to do in the airport for the immigration, and then actually how many staff do you need in the airport. Okay, and they have their chart, organization chart too. Immigration, how many people at one time they put in the immigration in the counter. Let's say they kata they only have 3 numbers of staff can put in the, because in Cebu is small city, they only, let's say the staff of the apa in Cebu tak banyak, so they only can put 3 number of staff in the counter. So we determine all these things. Okay, apart from that, we also must have because when you design airport, you must have ada satu authority dipanggil IATA. IATA ni is the standard, is international air transport organization. So IATA ni they have the standard of the calculation. For this type of aircraft, actually let's say ada penumpang 169 penumpang. So from this 168 passenger, sekali masuk tu, actually how long actually the duration, the process tu, dia masuk, start turun dari kapal terbang sampai keluar terminal, the time is how long? How long is the time? And they need to do the process. And then from that one, we determine, we have the calculation actually how many counters that we need to provide. And then how many space that we need to provide. Yeah, we have the standard of the calculation. Okay, so we do the calculation, then we come up for every this end user, we come up with certain facility that we need to provide in the airport. After we understand the system, the operational system, apa job dia, apa task dia in the airport, then after that, based on the calculation, then we know actually how many counter, how much is the space that we need to provide. So we already determine. So this one is actually macam saya cakap tadi, is we firm up the design brief. The design brief. Then we come up with this kind of the conclusion. Conclusion dia nampak ringan, tapi the process tu is very long process. Okay, so after we come up, and then the most important thing is actually the number of aircraft, because terminal will be based on the number of aircraft, how many aircraft that will land in our airport. Okay, we come up with okay. Before that, the airport determined by the aircraft. Aircraft tu kita tak panggil Airbus 747, tak ada. We call it coding. Coding C, code C. So code C tu kita panggil is for the narrow body. Kalau if you naik kapal terbang tu ada 3 seater kiri kanan kan, satu lorong. That one is code C. So for wide body tu code E. E tu yang 2, 4, 2 seating dia kan. So we call it is wide body. Code E tu selalunya memang untuk untuk Boeing 747 tu code E. Kalau code C tu is for 737. Jadi all these thing kan, that's why when you designing the airport, macam when you design the museum, you must know the how you design the museum. The critical person, the most important person is actually the storyteller. The storyteller of the museum. But for this one, you must understand the aircraft, because terminal airport tu will come with the aircraft. Kalau aircraft tak ada, terminal pun tak ada function. So that you must understand the nature, behavior of the aircraft, how they parking, how they landed, you know, how many person that actually they can fly. So you must know the type of the aircraft, apa yang what type of the aircraft that will land on that airport. So after that, you know the aircraft, then only you can determine the terminal building. On this case, we already determine code C. Mananya kalau you tengok, kena cepat-cepat sikit. Okay, this one is the existing one. Ini code E, one code E, and then ni code C. Code C tu maksudnya just narrow body tadi lah 33. 737, building 737. So this one is the existing airport. The airport is very small, and we have the vacant land kiri kanan, and we only have 3 numbers of aircraft parking. And the type of then the way aircraft to parking pun we have to know how the aircraft parking. Because the parking of this aircraft will determine the location of the building, and will determine the area when the passenger will go to the aircraft. So the link between the aircraft the building will determine the position of the building determined by the location of the aircraft. So this one is the existing. Alright, so macam tadi saya cakap, because we have to know the stages, the step of the stages of the facing, the sequence of work. So this one is the existing building. Before we test on the existing building, we develop all this anew. So we build the new one first without disturbing the existing operational of the airport. So all this, actually this one is the old one, and the red ni is the new one. So we build this one. The constraint of this one, we have to build the terminal when the airport still operate. We cannot disturb the operational of the airport during the construction. one thing. And then for this Cebu particularly, we have to maintain the structure of the building, because in terms of the cost, and then in terms of the cost, and in terms of the time that we have during the construction period. So we have to use the structure of the existing building to save the cost and the time. So meaning that we not only the design of the airport itself. Before I design the airport, I have to think how to integrate the existing airport and the existing structure into with the new building. So during the design tu I kena fikir macam mana, how is the design look like. Okay, so not only the shape building apa semua, but I should make sure that actually the building meet the function of the airport itself, because airport is the building, functional building, the system. So I have to make sure that actually all the system, the operational system in the airport should be comply with the authority requirement. So when I design, so my decision is okay, this is the new wing and this one is the existing. On the existing lagi mencabar, because the new we can design the structure, we can design the space according to the need and according to my design. But on the existing, in a way, we have to suit with the existing one. How to integrate between the old and the new. Okay, so what happened is end upnya I design jadi macam ni lah. So if you look at this one, the planning, this is the existing one. The internal one I change based on the new requirement, because once the airport expand, meaning that the number of the space, the type of the space also different. Okay, so so the space also automatically inside also we have to rearrange. And then the requirement of the baggage also will be different. Okay, I will go fast. So okay, on this design, the constraint apart from the integration between the existing and the new one, also we have to fulfill the requirement on the segregation. Okay, because the airport is the operational building and full of the restriction. For example, you must have the segregation between the airside and landside, and you must have the segregation between international and domestic, meaning that the passenger cannot mix, cannot bertempur pun cannot, because it will affect on the operational concept. Because akan ada cerita human trafficking, akan ada cerita drug trafficking, so you have to know all these things. Okay, and then you also have to know the segregation between departure and arrival. Also, this one also cannot mix the passenger. So you have to make sure all these requirements should comply, and then it should demonstrate in the planning. Okay. Okay, so this is the just the basic idea of the flow, passenger flow. Actually, the airport is just one building, but then inside kan the special arrangement is very important to comply the operational airport requirement. Okay, for how is the arrival for the passenger when arrive to the airport, how is the flow, and then for departure also I have to study how is the flow. They must pass through, for example, for departure, they have to check in the bag first, and then they go to the immigration, they must have the security. Okay, because there is the other yang area, restricted area is actually the clean area after the security. But before the security, before the immigration, the public can enter. But after the immigration, only the passenger can enter area. So this area should be restricted and should be controlled. So how we control the space though is very important in the spatial arrangement within the airport. Same goes to the arrival passenger also like that. This one is to avoid. This one is the security requirement to avoid the human trafficking, the drug trafficking, all those crime lah yang terjadi dekat airport kan. So we have the simulation actually the how the passenger will move from one space to another to make sure that actually they won't meet, and they meaning that there is the segregation among them. So we have to demonstrate in the plan. Okay. Apart from that, after we do the planning and then approved by the government, approved by the all the agency stakeholder, especially the security committees. Security committees tu consist of the ketua-ketua dari Bukit Aman sampai pada immigration, ketua immigration. Semua yang berkaitan dengan security, we sit down and we lead the meeting to get the approval from them, to comply their requirement. So once approved, then we can build the airport. We confirm the design when we build the airport. Okay, during the construction also, there is the interfacing work, not only on the design, on the technical, on the requirement from the end user, but then in terms of the technical. For example, we have to know, macam saya cakap tadi, the aircraft kan, how to connect the aircraft with the terminal. So we have to know actually where actually the aircraft will park and how they link between the aircraft and terminal and the aircraft. There is the passenger loading brief. We have to know how this passenger loading brief operate. What is the line? How they can move? What is the space that they need to park? How to put this passenger loading bridge? And then how this one link to the terminal? Okay, we have to know this one. Even though we are not the mechanical engineer, but we as an architect, as designer, we have to know how this thing operate, okay, to make sure that we have enough space and to make sure that actually the passenger can go to the aircraft conveniently. So we have to consider this one. This one is during the design stage, and then we have to ask the engineer how this one, so the type of passenger yang dia akan pakai, then how this thing operate. Then only we know actually the location of the passenger ini dekat mana, waiting area tu dekat mana. Same goes to interfacing with the, if you landing with the aircraft kan, you can see kan, dekat airside tu, this one is the dipanggil VGDS tu, Visual Docking Guidance System. So how this one integrate with our facade? When the aircraft parking, so we have to know where is the aircraft parked in front of the terminal. We have to know because we have to put this location of the VGDS. Then we have to, benda ni should be betul-betul in front of the aircraft. Okay, and then macam saya cakap tadi, this one is the structure, existing structure. We have to know, actually I kena tahu what is the existing structure. We have to make full use of this one. And then also in terms of M&E, because of the height of the ceiling, we have to know how the aircon blow, to make sure that one is function. In terms of the lighting also, we have to know the type of the ceiling. We have to know. Okay, we have to determine. So during the construction, kita dah senang dah. We have to make sure benda tu dibuat seperti yang kita design lah. Apart from that, we have to know whether the check-in, they use the check-in kiosk or check-in counter. And then part of the airport, we also PIDS, Flight Information System, the signages. Okay, the most important thing is baggage handling system, how they design, how they put this equipment into the building. We have to know all these things. Okay, so this one is the existing airport. And this one is, so if you look at the design is sama dengan my design. Okay, when they construct the building, the design is almost the same, not 100% sama lah, but almost the same with my design. Meaning I can manage the design exactly apa yang I nak. Okay, because but because for certain consideration yang tadi I sebut tu. Okay, this one the existing one and this one is the new one. Okay, this one from the side. The side the existing like this. So what the design kan, we maintain the structure. We maintain the structure, but and then at the new wing, the facade we change the facade and the roof. Okay, so this one is from the side view. From here, this one the new one. This one the forecourt, the new forecourt yang baru. Kalau you tengok tadi forecourt tak ada kan? Okay, this one is the original forecourt and public concourse. So we put aircon. If you look at this one, we have because this is the inside the airport, and we have the natural lighting to go inside the building. And make full use of so this one is the existing structure. So I changed the roof, but I changed the roof too. I put the window to let and then I put the glass to let the natural lighting to go inside the building. Okay, so all these are the check-in counter, more convenience for them instead of dekat outside. So I put inside. standard airport lah. So that's all. Laju sangat. So that's all for my ini. But the process is yang the early process too is very important. It took actually 6 months to 1 month. Even though the construction start, the process still go on. Because the requirement from the end user, sometimes they have the changes on the requirement. So we also have to change on the planning lah. Okay, that's all for me.
Okay. So thank you.
Laju
AR.
sangat. Okay.
Yeah, I'm very sorry for the time constraint.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that you have a lot more to show us. So maybe for our future program we can invite you again. But I think it is a very interesting topic for you to brought up today. It gives a new insight on the responsibility of an architect. So it is actually much more and more leaning towards the project management part of the construction field.
Yeah,
So-
actually it's not only the design on the appearance, but a lot of things that you need very creative lah.
Yeah. So on behalf of our organizer, Eureka Architalt team, I would like to give our full gratitude to AR Mardiana binti Soebarjo for that lovely and insightful presentation. So we very appreciate your effort for joining us today, and it's truly a blessing. So for everyone else, we will have a short photo session. So if possible, you guys can turn on your cam to for a short photo session. Just a moment. Okay. So is everyone ready? All right.
Okay, thank you. Okay, hopefully my ceramah is very useful for you all and can open your mind more inilah. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you guys.
Right. Thank you, AR Mardiana. Thank you again.
Okay, guys, thank you.
And for the other
Thank you,
participants,
Mardiana.
I would like to kindly remind you guys that tomorrow we also have a session with AR Kawarismi titled 10 questions. So make sure to tune in and join us tomorrow. We will provide the link tomorrow. All right. All right. Thank you to all that have joined today's session. You guys are very awesome and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, AR Mardiana.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thank you, AR Mardiana and
Thank you,
our moderator.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, organizer.
Thank you, everyone.
Right. The session shall be dismissed now. Thank you.